Pipeline and People podcast powered by Versorix, the show where boutique firm leaders trade less admin for more advisory. Each week, we share actionable tactics to keep your client pipeline full and your team performing at its best. I'm your host, Jaden Parisi. Let's dive in. Today's guest is Michael Rubenstein, COO and co-founder of The Laser Masters, a provider network and business model builder helping medical practices across the globe add significant private pay income using high-power Class 4 laser therapy. Michael, welcome. Could you kick us off with a quick look at, how you got started with the Laser
Sure.
Masters?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. Firstly, I appreciate it. Well, we started, I would say 2019. The field that we're originally in is chiropractic, right? We're chiropractors in South Florida, seems to be the mecca and super saturated with chiropractors down here. My partner has been doing laser some sort of way or some fashion for years before I was even out of school. So what's interesting, what transpired, there has to be a USP to differentiate yourself from all the other chiropractors that are a mile or a quarter mile from each other in every fashion down here in Florida. So we started pushing out the laser more, seeing the benefits that regenerative laser therapy started, providing for patients, how quickly they were getting better, the results we were saving them from surgeries. So the idea came where partner's like, hey, what if we did something around like a laser pain center or really focused on the laser therapy? So I was like, great, we figured it out. And that's kind of how everything started. The idea started flowing, and it's amazing to see where we started, where the idea started to kind of where it is now, right? Of how the trials and tribulations and the people we were working with that we're not working with and people we added. So yeah, that's kind of how it all started. And then a little side tip, like, for anyone that's listening, we built all this initially from a credit card.
Sounds
That's
so.
how it all started. Yeah, it's so we opened a bank account, started with the credit card, and here we are.
That's amazing.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, which is awesome.
Just for those who don't know, because some of my audience might not be in this space, what exactly is Class 4 laser therapy?
So in this space, there's typically two types of lasers that are used. There's a Class 3B, and then your Class 3, and then there's Class 4. So Class 4 is typically anything over about, I think it's a 3,000 or 3 watts or 3,000 milliwatts is typically considered a Class 4 laser. So we've taken lasers that are a little bit higher than that. So most of our lasers that we use are anywhere between 20, 40, 65, 70 watts, which basically shortens treatment times. But these lasers are medical grade lasers. What makes our lasers different is the special head that we have on it that other doctors use. But a lot of these doctors are doctors with lasers. A lot of our doctors and us, we're a laser pain center. It's a different thought process, different way to look at it. It's about positioning. It's about perception of what we are. Um, so it's super interesting to see that, transpire and happen. But going back to the laser conversation, so yeah, I mean, we use pretty high powered lasers. If the way I explain it to most people and patients that come in is that our laser is a medical grade laser. That if we wanted to, I tell them, think of it like a power washer, right? Those we use power washer for. There's different heads for different applications. They have the head that's a straight line pin beam that could probably break through a wall. But then if you want to wash your car, you wouldn't want to use the same beam, right? Or the same head. You'd want to use the one that produces soap and is gentle on the car. Well, that's the head that we have. We get a lot. We put that special head on that actually disperses the beam out and it hits the tissue differently. And it actually works through a process called photobiomodulation or photobiostimulation, which actually stimulates the cells to dump out more ATP or energy for the cell to use to help rejuvenate tissue, to decrease pain, swelling, inflammation, stuff of that nature. So it's pretty powerful stuff. And the results we see, and not even my office, I mean, we see doctors across the country. We have 60 plus offices at this point. I mean, the amazing results we see is incredible.
That's amazing. Um, when we spoke before the podcast, you mentioned the unfranchised model. Could you
Sure.
kind of explain that a little bit?
Sure. So we created this like unfranchised model principle where essentially we give all the doctors who join our group the tools, the service, everything that you would need to almost be a franchise, but without the high franchise fees, right? So you don't have to spend $100,000 to come on in. There's low cost of entry, because it's more about the mission that we're doing. We're helping a lot of patients ditch the drugs and skip the scalpel, which is the bigger mission and purpose of what we do as well. Not only to help doctors grow their practices, get better patient outcomes, but it's also really about that mission of, going against the paradigm of the medical model of how backwards it is. A lot of people, they're always drug surgery first when it doesn't have to be that way. There's an application for those different treatments, but it should be as a secondary or tertiary line of defense, not primary. You always want to do least invasive first. So we developed a model where we give all the doctors the SOPs, how to do the laser, how to sell and educate patients on laser, how to put together packages, really how to take patients current and new, and really create a laser pain center. I mean, it really from the outside in could look almost like a franchise, but it's really the unfranchised model because no high cost fees. We give you all the support and everything you need to really have a successful business within your business. You need to think of it almost like Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin Robbins, right? So the chiropractic side, and you have your laser pain center. We recently just launched a separate division, which is going to have medical doctors now. So that we just launched that. We're building that out right now. So yeah, it's a lot of people are joining the mission. A lot of people understand what we do, and they're really thriving with it.
That's great. It's quite impressive. How does this how do you make not having that large upfront cost work? Like, do you kind of incur the a loss at the beginning or?
Great question. So the model that we put together, it's a membership-based model, right? So we have that recurring, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the expenses, right, are really from the original jumping point when we did it. Building out the websites, building out our website, building out the national directory, like there's expenses, right? But as new members come aboard, a lot of the heavy lifting is already done, right? It's like once you systematize something and build something out, you have it at your disposal. You need to make changes and edit it and correct it. So, we fit the bill, a good part of it still in a way, but clearly, we're in this to not only have the mission, we're in it to make money. So, it's profitable for us. I mean, to watch something go from zero to be a profitable business is pretty amazing to see that, unfold and the steps you needed to get there. Really looking back, the amount of work that and discipline you needed to really put that together, is super interesting. And to really kind of answer your question, to its entirety, there's trade-offs, right? So a lot of, like I said, a lot of the heavy work is already done, and we're always adding to it a little bit, changing this, and it's about building. I mean, we have a whole back end portal too. So you have to understand it's not just the scripts and everything. We have a whole portal that's password protected for the doctors that has everything from coaching, past Zoom calls that we do. We do weekly Zoom calls. We have one-on-one coaching. We have scripts. We have handouts. We have a printing portal. I mean, everything that a doctor would really need, they can get on their portal, from training videos. I mean, we have one of our clinic advisors do some training videos for the actual application of laser. So there's a lot that went into it, and we slowly drip it now over time to now build this successful business, and doctors use what they need to build their business. So, the upfront cost is really in the beginning. And then now it's just more so making those tweaks as we need to and fine tuning things and adding to our great foundation.
Yeah, and
If
it
that answers
sounds
your
like
question. I hope that does.
it does. Yeah, and it sounds like quite a comprehensive, package that you have, and you kind of give them everything that they need to be successful. But what mindset shifts is kind of required on their end that you've noticed?
It's a great question because a lot of it, so generally speaking, doctors as a whole are pretty, not all, but generally speaking, are not great business people. They're very like they go to school to become a doctor, they go to school to help patients, which is great, but they don't have the business mindset. So there's a few shifts that need to happen. They need to now start developing that business mindset. They need to take off the blinders and know kind of what they need to do to really make a successful practice on a private pay side because they're so indoctrinated into the insurance realm, where, for example, an MD, right, is a little different than a chiropractor in the fact that chiropractors always have to be very entrepreneurial for the most part, just nature of the business. But MDs, for example, they always rely on just people coming in through insurance. They don't really do any marketing. Like, when's the last time you see a general practitioner doing marketing? You don't see it
Yeah,
because they rely on maybe word of mouth, but more so you'll find me in the provider book. People will come in, they collect the insurance, they do the drugs and surgeries and whatever. But that's how that model is. as a chiropractor, you really have to be an entrepreneur, have that mindset of I'm a business owner. How do we create it like a business? And the chiropractic model in and of itself, great for helping people or business model. So, we make tweaks to create our own business model, again, the unfranchised model. But the mindset, you have to be ready to grow. You have to have that looking at all aspects of it. And you're ready to really hit the ground running. And, it's about, a lot of discipline. There's a lot of steps that a lot of the doctors never really were pushed to do before. So, like, a lot of them have a closed mindset. Like, this is where they are, but they have to be out here. And we help bring that out of them. I mean, we have doctors that are texting us. I can't believe the amount of growth that I had just from a mindset after talking to you guys and seeing what's really possible. Because some doctors, some chiros are like straight chiropractic, or this is how they do things and always have done things. They're not looking at the different realms of how can I expand my business, not only for patient care, but how do I make more money, right? It's not always about, adjusting more people. It's about charging more or what you're actually worth for your services, not dealing with insurance. So it's like a whole different shift on so many different levels. And doctors, if you start seeing it happen, you'll get the text. Oh, I had a $10,000 day. I had a $40,000 week. So it's like you see these things, you're like, all right, wow, it's pretty amazing to see. So that shit's
Yeah.
almost allowing themselves to get better and to grow is really what has to happen. Like they have to like get out of their own way a lot of the times.
Yeah. And do you notice that, some people kind of take to that process better than others?
100%. 100%. I mean, there are certain personalities that when they join, they're going to kill it. They just need that tweak, right? Of like, they need the process. Like, a lot of people are so hungry, they don't know how to put A and B together. They're going to A, they're going to Z, they're going to D. They're just all over the place. They don't have the package. Excuse me, to streamline their steps. And because we had that for them, they crush it. I mean, we had a doctor who our one of the doctors, to give you a really prime example of this, one of our doctors was practicing for 12, 15 years, I think, struggling, almost ready to close his doors. Reached out to my partner because they knew each other through mutual contacts through Facebook. I said, I'm ready to go work for somebody else. I can't open my business anymore. We took him from basically being broke to now he's almost a $2 million business, over, I don't know, let's call it 2.5 years. But like there was a shift in his mind had happened first. You had to accept certain things to happen and understand that there's a different way to do things. Just follow what you need to do or follow what we're telling you and you'll be successful. Right. So we saw that happen in real time, basically from negative to, seven figures.
Yeah. Did you have to kind of go through that, as a practicing chiropractor before and now,
So I've always been the one that was always very entrepreneurial. Like even as a kid, I was selling lemonade. I was knocking on doors, shoveling snow. I was always thinking like, how can I make another dollar? Right? Like, selling candy in school. Like, so to me, I've always thought about how to get better patient care, but along with, making more money at it. And then unfortunately being a doctor, it's tough because there's certain um rules or certain ways you have to, go about it, right? You can't, it's not just like any other business. So you have to stay within the game and excel at it. And that's the problem with the insurance business as well. And so I never had an issue because I always had the sight for it. And so with my partner, I mean, him and I combined have like probably 40 years of marketing and sales experience. I mean, I wasn't always a chiropractor. I went to school back late. I mean, I finished my secondary schooling when I was like 30 years old. But prior to that, I mean, right out of undergrad, I was sales and marketing. I mean, different areas from everything from residential to B2B. So I built my chops up doing that way, which helped me, put different pieces together for where I am now. Right. So that was a big part of it. And a lot of doctors go right from undergrad to regular school, to undergrad to chiropractic school, undergrad to medical school. They don't have that real world teaching of how to actually really deal with people. And that's not taught in school. That's the other thing. Medical or chiropractic or physical therapy, none of that. They're not taught the business side. You're not taught how to sell. You're not taught how to market. A lot of people get out of school and they think, oh, I'm going to open my doors and people are just going to flood to me. It doesn't work that way. and they just don't realize that because it's not their fault. They just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. Kind of on the more technical side of things, I'm not really involved on the health and medical kind of industry, but
Hmm.
these some of these people are developing incredible tools in the AI space or other softwares, and they're so deep in the weeds with the technical that they forget to apply like the business lessons. And, it's kind of hard to get
Hmm.
into that mindset. So, do you have any tips or advice or personal experiences with how someone can kind of shift their focus from being so technical or kind of focus on the medical side of things to business
Well,
oriented?
as yeah, I mean, as a whole, you have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to have that discipline, right? I mean, if you're not already thinking that way, you may not go out and seek it. That's the problem, right? Because it's like you're blind to it. You don't know, you don't know. So once you finally start seeing it, then it's advantageous for you to, start following the big guys in the game, right? Start following the Alex Hermosis, right? The Jeremy Miners, the people that are really into the sales and marketing and communication game, right? Follow Andy Frisellas, the CEOs of the bigger companies, and just listen to what they're doing. Listen to what they're telling you. These guys at this point are so wealthy, they're giving away tons and tons of free information that can be the next, 2-degree shift that you need to take your business to another level or start a business, right? I mean, that's really it. There's no magic to it. It's really just discipline. It's doing those little things consistently, right? And there's enough motivation. There's so much motivation out there. You don't need motivation. You need to actually do the work and be disciplined to doing it. That's the biggest thing. But again, it goes back to if you don't know, you don't know. So getting to the past the I don't know stage, it's hard unless someone kind of wakes you up. You're right. Unless something clicks one day, but not everybody is for building a business or being their own boss or being an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is used way too frequently nowadays, but it's like a hot keyword. But not everybody has that mindset. There are people that just want to be an entrepreneur, right? Work for that 9 to 5, work for that other company, but grow within that company. There's a lot of that. And that's cool too. It's not for everybody. Like, because then who am I going to hire if those people don't exist?
Yeah.
Right? So you need those people on both, everyone has their role, if you will, in that in the game of business. Everyone has a role, whether they're entrepreneur or whether they're the 9 to 5er, and they just want to after 5 o'clock, they're like, I'm out. I don't want to have a beer. I don't want to talk to anybody about this. And Monday comes again, they're good to go. Um, Everyone has different things. People, I think there's certain people that realize that they have it and maybe need to fine tune it. And people that don't realize they have it, I think at a certain point they may just not have it, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's okay, and there's different roles and there's different ways of life for everybody. Not everyone should be an entrepreneur. It's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um,
The other thing I want to touch on too, you brought up
yeah.
too about businesses, and I'm sure you can agree to this, based on dealing with different businesses, talking to different people. A dying art that's happening, especially in the service side when it comes to restaurants or hair salons or and even talking to people on the phone. The customer service is just dying. Like people do not care anymore. Well, people that are on the phone, they don't care. And well, you know what? This is how we do it. That's it. There's still some companies that really offer it, but I mean, I don't know if I'm misguided in this, but I feel like there's a lot of companies that are just, in a way, this is how we do things. If you don't like it, fucking kick rocks. And
Yeah, no, for sure.
because and that's unfortunate. And I feel that anyone that's new to business or anyone that is starting a business or even in a current business, I think that is the number one thing. If you could start doing that again, having that personalized touch and bringing back customer service, listen, the customer's not always right, but they're right most times, right? If you could just make them happy and bring back the customer service, you're going to thrive more than a lot of these big conglomerate companies that don't care.
Yeah.
So a
Yeah.
little
And
tip that I think is important people need to realize again.
yeah, that definitely goes a long way. And, you know, speaking of like, I've found that I get a lot of whenever I call someone or support or whatever, the customer service is like a bot that's gonna, press one for English, press two for this service, that service. And, having that personal kind of someone answering the phone right away is just so much better. I know it's unrealistic in some situations, and AI is coming out with some good call bots, but it's still not all the way there. I don't really like that use case for it.
I mean, I agree. There's a personalized touch. Unfortunately, it's getting to the point where it's getting expensive, right? To have that
Mhm.
call center, to have those personalized people. I think everything has its place. AI has its place to help streamline stuff, automate stuff. But as long as you can get to a person that has the authority to make certain decisions, and they're not just like a human that's a robot, right? Like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't see that. Like, they're so, sometimes the humans even are so locked into what they can do. They can't go above and beyond that because they're not preview to it or they're not allowed. I think it's a big problem too. Like if I'm calling customer service, that person should be able to help me to the maximum amount. I shouldn't have to talk to a supervisor. I shouldn't have to go to the next stage. That person should be okay, how can I make you happy? But they don't do that anymore because a lot of people today are so quick to give up. The big, okay, whatever. I'll eat the $50. It is what it is. But no, like you have to push for more. And I think the more people that start doing that, companies will start realizing that we have to, be easier and let them jump through all these hoops. Because then it's going to take more time to make that person happy if more people start doing that. And I'm not saying be like a Karen about it, right? I'm saying like just like if there's a customer service position where think you're owed something and you are owed something and it's ethical, I think you should be rewarded that or refunded that or made happy. Like, how can you make me happy as a customer, right? Like, there's good and bad to both, and I just think that people are so quick to give up on what their initial gusto is to get that done, but because it's like I have to call the person and they're giving me a she's on the phone now. 30 minutes have gone by, whatever, it's $100. It is what it is. And a lot of people have the mentality. I think if people stopped having that mentality, companies would definitely make adjustments to people really pushing, to get what's right by the customer.
Yeah, and I think they should. It's I think confirmation bias might be the right or wrong word, but when you have a bad customer experience, um, you tell people. Like I know
Hmm.
if I'm really unhappy with how a call went on a customer service call, I'm definitely gonna go be like, oh, they suck. Like don't buy from them. Don't do
Hmm.
that. I'm not gonna do the same thing if it's good. I'm not gonna go and advocate for them, but you lose so much more business just from that simple thing of having good customer service.
100%.
It's
Well, a bad word travels faster than a good word.
yeah,
That's just
exactly.
how we are. I mean, we're emotional creatures, right? So yeah, I completely agree with you on that. 100%.
Yeah. Well, I think we got a little off topic, but that's totally fine. We got a
You're
few
fine,
minutes
man.
left.
Yeah, whatever you want. We can talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, a few minutes left. So what we do at the end of these episodes is usually a quick rapid fire round. So I have a few questions. Just whatever's off the top of your head, quick 20, 30-second answers.
Okay.
Okay, well, actually these questions are pretty shit because we didn't talk about any of that. I'm gonna cut this.
Fine.
Um
Ask me, what do you want to know specifically?
well, okay, well I have my script here and we were gonna talk about like some pricing things.
I got more time if
So
you need. I got about 15 more minutes if you need.
yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay, so I guess we'll just end off with, you know, a couple of these here. So, what's your favorite way to kind of unwind when you're off the clock?
Well, firstly, never off the clock, but if I need a way to like, kind of unwind, I'll typically just kind of like unplug and watch something on Netflix or something just to kind of, take my mind off of something. But that's really it, man. Or watch a video of some sort. And that's really what I do to unwind, honestly, at this point.
Yeah,
Not too
for sure.
much.
And finally, what's the best piece of advice that you've been given, professionally, personally?
I have to think about this. I mean, there's so many good things and so many things. What I would say is that don't chase money. Chase what you're passionate about. You could always have a job, but whatever that side hustle is going to be, make sure you're passionate about it. Don't just, yeah, I'm gonna do my 9 to 5 and then make your side hustle make more just to be about money, because then you're gonna get burned out. But if you have your 9 to 5 to make money for the time being, even no, it may not be enough. That side hustle has to really be something you're passionate about because when you'll eventually make money with that side hustle. But if you're just doing that side hustle for the money, it's never going to be long term. So, that would be my advice. Quick 30-second off the top of my head. There's a lot, but that would be the number one thing, right? Make sure your side hustle is something that you're really passionate about and that you enjoy. Even if it's not making you money right now, it will.
Absolutely. And I do agree. Um, but a little bit of a rebuttal, you have to kind of be strategic with it. If you're
Hmm.
passionate about, I don't know, tennis, like I'm sure you could come up with something that would make money and could make a lot of money, but it's going to be a lot easier if, you kind of sit down and you go, what are my passions? What are my skills? You
Hmm.
align them and then you come up with something that maybe compromises a little bit on the passion side, but still something that you're definitely interested in and want to pursue. You be
Oh,
smart with
sure.
it.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, that goes without saying. You got to be strategic about what you put your quote unquote free time into, right? I mean, if you're a 9 to 5er, with hours of 5 to, let's say, 3 in the morning, for example, you got to put it into something that like you got to take into consideration. And just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean it's going to work. But I'm saying in terms of, so I agree with you. You have to
Okay.
be strategic about like, is it a smart idea,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you're passionate about marbles, right? Like, what are you going to do with marbles, right? It's got to be something that aligns with part of your passion, with something you can realistically make money in.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
100%.
All right. Well, Michael, thanks for being here and for sharing your story. It was
My
a
pleasure.
very interesting episode. Where can people reach out or learn more about you and your
Sure.
business?
So you could find me on Instagram at doc rube rube 24. You could also the lasermasters.com. And if you want to find a Relief Now Laser Center near you, go to reliefnowlaser.com. Check out all the locations that we have. We even have one in Dubai. So we're growing, and remember, ditch the drugs, skip the scalpel. Make sure you're always doing non-invasive or least invasive before you go the drugs and surgery route. Super important.
Amazing. If this episode
Thank
sparks
you.
something, share it with a friend, comment your biggest takeaway. Until next time, I'm Jaden Parisi. This is the Pipeline of People podcast.